Okay, the last section we learned about what we were doing and what tools we're going to use to do it. So let's learn how to install these things. Well, the MQTT Python library is really pretty simple. I'm going to be using as an example an Ubuntu 18.04 with Python 3.7. If you need to adjust those, you may have to adjust some of those types of things. The library I'm using is the Paho MQTT client library. It's available at github.com, Eclipse, Paho MQTT Python library, source right there. Actually, if you just say pip install Paho-MQTT, it's a well enough known package that it'll just install the latest version for you. For the InfluxDB Python library, it's pip install InfluxDB. If you want to install the database itself, you can get that using sudo apt-get install python InfluxDB. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for the package. But it does require the HTTP request library. So that's usually pretty standard in 3.7. It ships. If you don't have the requests HTTP library, that is required and it's not contained in the InfluxDB. It actually makes HTTP requests from your program to the InfluxDB server. So you can install that. I just did the pip install InfluxDB and it loaded it right away. So the Mosquitto Daemon, this is the actual server. So you want to actually do a repository add for this. The PPA Mosquitto Dev Mosquitto PPA will give you the where to pick up the latest versions. You update it, and then you do a sudo for, this is again for Ubuntu, a sudo apt-get install Mosquitto. You can also pull two very useful tools. One is the Mosquitto sub, and the other one is called Mosquitto pub. And what these are is they're literally manual tools to subscribe and to publish to a topic. Real easy to test. We're not going to go into their usage, but usually when I'm first playing with my Mosquitto server, I want to make sure it works. So I publish some information and I'm running the Mosquitto sub on that topic and I see the information come. That way I know it's working and I'm not trying to program something and haven't tested my server. So you also may want to do the sudo apt-get install Mosquitto-clients. Those are real good to have. They're not very large, and that will give you the clients Mosquitto_sub and Mosquitto_pub. Don't forget, I use systemd, so enable and start your service, which when you reboot, that will make sure that the service is started for you. For the InfluxDB daemon, same thing. Again, this is the Ubuntu. You can adjust as needed. The repo keys, right there you can see where you can pull those. Repos influxdata.com, influxdb.key. You add those keys, and then you want to make sure you pull the correct repos, or put the correct repo string in your repos, and then you can do a update and you can install the InfluxDB server. Again, if you want to use just the standard, I believe you can just do install InfluxDB and it will find the latest. I also think InfluxDB is now on a snap if you prefer to do that, or has a Red Hat package as well. So you may not need to add the repo keys. I usually do that to always pull the latest release key. Again, don't forget to enable and start the service. And just a word, I didn't do this on the last one. I had them on two separate lines. The and there you see between the two apt-get simply says run the first command, and means and if it's successful, if it returns a success message, then run the second command. So if your update fails for any reason, and mine was because I had to accept a change from Google something to Google LLC or Google Inc. to Alphabet LLC for my Chrome repository, so it kept failing. But if for any reason it fails, you can just run those two separately, do the sudo apt-get update, and then as a separate line, do the sudo apt-get install InfluxDB. If you do the and, you have to pass the first one with a success message back to the shell before it'll run the second one. Just a side word if you run into any issues there. Finally, to install the Grafana Daemon, pretty simple. Again, I add the repo keys. You can stop here and get those, or you can simply go out and say, you know, installing the Grafana dashboard on your particular version of Linux. I believe both InfluxDB and Grafana have Windows and Mac versions as well if you want to run those locally on your device. This is one thing we did look at to be able to produce any dashboard, if you will, right there on your laptop while you're at a customer site. Might be interesting to do. But I've loaded it on on one of the lab servers here. So again, you can do the update and install. Don't forget to enable and start. So pretty simple, shouldn't take you but about 20 minutes to load all the tools in and be up and running. So in the next section, we are going to look at creating a data source here.